Satire is a prominent theme in today's society, used to poke fun at a multitude of issues and flaws within the system through a multitude of mediums. Satire is shown in the 2000s film American Psycho through the business card scene, and that 1985 Calvin and Hobbes comic strip Walking Billboards. American Psycho satirizes the 1980s in America and the consumerism lifestyle commonly linked with the Wall Street boom and yuppie culture. The Juvenalian satire challenges the greed, consumerism, and behavior linked with the 1980s, proposing the question, what if this time period was an actual person? Patrick Bateman is the bloodthirsty, schizophrenic, arrogant protagonist of American Psycho, and is used to identify the conformity, greed, and toxic masculinity that was normalized during the time. The business card scene humorously satirizes the entity of Patrick Bateman, emphasizing the absurdity and stupidity of the aggressive competition at the time through simple business cards.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my god. It even has a watermark.
Bateman's obsession over the intricate details of the business card highlights the toxic masculinity and competitive nature of the 1980s. The narration of the scene displays the arrogant and competitive nature of Bateman, an archetype of the 1980s.
Whoa, very nice. Look at that.
Picked them up from the printers yesterday.
Good coloring.
That's bone. And the lettering is something called Cillian Braille.
American Psycho satirizes yuppie culture, young, successful business people culture, to expose the extensive consumerism and toxic masculinity in the greed decade. It informs the audience of the chaotic, greedy time period of that 1980s through dark humor and exaggeration of Bateman's emotions. The obsessive, competitive emotions of Patrick Bateman are archetypes of the society at the time, exposing the arrogant, greedy, and competitive nature of the 1980s.
The relevance of the satire lives on through the aspect of a greedy society and toxic culture. Its relevance can be seen through cancel culture on Twitter and the toxic competitiveness experienced online in the gaming industry and social media.
The f*** you say to me, you little
The satire warns us of the inevitable consequences of a toxic society and the mutations that are birthed from its depths. It changes our behavior through the power of knowledge, giving us a slight edge over any future cultures birthed from human emotions. Although we briefly outgrew the restraints of toxic culture, its relevance today exposes the stupidity and absurdity of our society, and tells us we will never grow up.
In the comic strip Walking Billboard, Calvin critiques inconspicuously branded merchandise and explains to Hobbes the irony of buying shirts with logos, which say to the world, my identity is so wrapped up around the things I buy that I paid the company to advertise its products. The main targets are businesses and their advertising strategies, but the faults of American consumerism and the standards of their society are also brought out in this short comic strip.
While the comic strip does convey the irrationality of wearing branded clothing, the Horatian manner of the comic gives it a more comedic effect, rather than a behavior-altering reaction. The satirical effect is done through the verbal irony and exaggeration of Calvin's lighthearted language, such as, a good shirt turns the wearer into a walking billboard, and is used to show how Americans are irrational because of this behavior. Calvin's final statement uses the irony of individuality and its ties to consumerism and advertising, saying, endorsing products is the American way to express individuality. The statement attacks the irony of wanting to express yourself by being covered in endorsements, mocking consumerism.
This satire is still as relevant as ever due to modern fashion trends, and the irony of the comic statement about individuality and expression is still related to how we see ourselves and others. Companies such as Nike and Supreme are directly relevant and still selling branded merchandise that countless people continue to buy, showing that the American way to express individuality is still a part of society. In general, advertisements and branding are contributing to our greedy society and toxic culture.
The satire will change perspectives on wearing branded products and consumerism, but its lighthearted tone isn't likely to change the behavior of its readers. The satire exposes the prominence of consumerism within our society and how it is draining our individuality and how we are defined, revealing the impact capitalism has on our daily lives.
Satire is represented through a multitude of mediums to criticize the society we live in today. The two pieces attack consumerism and highlight the absurd effect it has on our lives. American Psycho exposes the toxic culture and conformity it brings to humans, and Walking Billboard identifies the irony of individuality in a society polluted with endorsements and brands. Both pieces challenge consumerist lifestyles, questioning their supposed positive impact on society. The relevance of both pieces today tells us we haven't outgrown our capitalistic behavior and are likely to continue down the path of consumerism. It tells us no matter what we do in our lives, humans are absurd and create the most hideous, monstrous ideals and systems.